I was good on my own, that's the way it was. That's the way it was. You was good on the low for a faded fuck. On some faded love. Shit, what the fuck you complaining for? Feeling jaded up. Used to trip off that shit I was kicking to you. Had some fun on the run, though I'll give it to you.
Conspiracy theorists now believe that billionaire tycoon Donald J. Trump, who's running for U.S. president, is actually a time traveler. Nikola Tesla and John Trump. The legend tellers suggest that Donald's uncle John George Trump, who was very well known as a scientist and inventor, oversaw the examination of famous engineer Nikola Tesla's notes after his death. Serbian-born Tesla moved to U.S. in 1891 and was famed for his reputation as a mad scientist. After Tesla died in 1943, the National Defense Research Committee called on MIT professor John Trump to look into his work in case there was any military application. Trump spent 3 days by himself looking into the notes before concluding there was nothing of any significance. John G. Trump spent a lot of time with his nephew Donald before he died in 1985. In interviews, Donald Trump regularly brought up his Uncle John and referenced his warning over nuclear weapons and the damage they may cause. During one such interview, he cryptically said, "My uncle used to tell me about nuclear before nuclear was nuclear." He told the Boston Globe he would tell me there are things that are happening that could be potentially so bad for the world in terms of weaponry. Trump told the Times that his uncle would tell him many years ago about the power of weapons someday, that the destructive force of these weapons would be so massive that it's going to be a scary world. What is strange about the warnings is that by the time Donald Trump was born in 1946, the U.S. already owned and used nuclear weapons. Trump also spoke about his dislike of nuclear weapons, saying, "I hate nuclear more than any. My uncle was a professor at MIT. He used to tell me about nuclear. Can I be honest with you? It's going to happen anyway. It's going to happen anyway. It's only a question of time." And here's a picture of Donald Trump holding a Time magazine. And in 2000, an online forum came alive with the story of John Teeter, who claimed to be a soldier from 2036 and lived in a world destroyed by war and government corruption. He offered some helpful tips on what the future had in store and suddenly vanished, and after many of the predictions did not come true, he was written off as a hoax. The legend goes that after John Trump had mastered time travel, Donald Trump journeyed to the future under the name John Teeter. So using his time travel ability, Trump amassed a fortune with his family and began running for president of the United States to allow himself to truly change the future. According to the conspiracy, there are quite a few similarities between the Republican nominee and John Teeter. In Teeter's post, he was incredibly rude and aggressive towards those who challenged him. In one post he wrote, "Perhaps I should let you all in on a little secret. No one likes you in the future. This time period is looked at as being full of lazy, self-centered, civically ignorant sheep." Donald Trump also seems to have similar flair for insulting his critics and opponents. And in one speech in Las Vegas in 2011, he said, "Our leaders are stupid. They are stupid people." Bizarre conspiracy theory claims that Trump is now attempting to avert the future by dramatically altering its timeline and tackling the enemies which could potentially bring humanity to destruction.
Okay. John Trump, Trump's uncle, looked over Nikola Tesla's papers and research.
Yes.
Okay.
And it says that if you're not familiar with Tesla's series, in his later years, he explored fantastic topics like free energy, anti-gravity, invisibility, and other time travel-related things.
Yeah. Okay.
Now, apparently John Trump claimed that there was nothing of any real substance in Tesla's notes, but this is, of course, the person posting this theorized it was a lie. He knew that the National Defense Research Committee realized what his notes contained. It could mean the end of the world because it included them with blueprints for a theoretical time machine. Although John Trump thought that Tesla's time machine was plausible, it could not be possible to create using the technology existing during his time. John Trump later died in 1985, but not before leaving Tesla's notes and their implications to the protection of his beloved nephew, Donald Trump.
So Trump used the time machine to look into the future and also to help amass his huge fortune.
Right.
And he realized once going into the future far enough, shit's not good. And the only way to prevent things from going down this nuclear holocaust path is for him to become president.
Yes. However, there's one thing you need to know about Donald Trump campaign for president. Trump wants to be president, but not for very long, only as long as it takes. He's always said he wouldn't want to be president if there was someone else who could do just as good a job. And there is where Mike Pence comes in. If you see, Mike Pence is also a traveler.
Why do they think Mike Pence is a time traveler as well?
Oh, it's coming up.
Okay.
To put it simply, he can be president at the same time in more than once, i.e., there can be more than one Mike Pence on the earth at a given time period. That's how advanced his time machine is.
Okay, yeah. Okay.
As Mike Pence, or rather copies of him, were sent back to the past by Pence. They call him Pence Prime, the original Pence.
Okay, Pence Prime.
And Trump, in order to infiltrate the lives of political enemies before they become political enemies. So essentially to head them off of the path. Indeed, there are many such enemies, none of whom you've heard of, who met their demise or fell into obscurity long before they could become a threat to Trump.
I haven't heard that kind of theory, so once he goes back, there's actually parallel Trumps that are doing negative things. Are they in alternate timelines?
Parallel Trumps? It might just be his other political people.
Okay.
Oh. Now, here's where someone brings up Ivanka was born to another father, and Ivana was in the original timeline. Trump was dating her in the original timeline, as Ivanka was born to a different father. But when Trump went back to the timeline and has a large family now, with Ivana thus becoming Ivanka's father, this is what he meant when perhaps if she wasn't my daughter, I'd be dating her. Tim Kaine, who is gay, is not involved in this plot. He was essentially neutralized as a political threat long ago by one of the Pences, the Pence clones, at Tim Kaine's wife. She bears a very striking resemblance to Mike Pence.
She's
not a looker, dude.
I can definitely see. So we're saying that she is somehow
she's a Pence clone.
I can see that.
Tim Kaine, his political opponent.
What's her height compared to? So maybe if a non-Pence, non-prime Pence got a sex transformation to get close to Kaine, I could see that.
It was just someone saying that Trump's causing the Mandela effect and that people are timelines are, I guess, merging.
Okay.
Trump's first attempt at defeating Hillary Clinton happened in the late 90s. More specific, Trump hatched a plan to shame and discredit her husband, Bill Clinton, to the point that Hillary would not be able to successfully run for public office. While the plan succeeded in some regard, a temporal incursion by Hillary from the future prevented any lasting damage. She then went on to successfully run for the U.S. Senate in New York. Soon thereafter, despite Trump's best effort, the tragic day of 9/11 occurred. It was Trump's biggest mistake and something he regrets every day.
One of John Teeter's original missions, according to John Teeter, was he was sent back to get a very specific part from like the 1970s, like a 1970s, like Amiga computer. And Trump is a time traveler trying to save America. And doing it at the expense of himself and his own livelihood. Yeah. In the process, creating multiple other Trumps, different timelines, and causing the actual Mandela effect. And it's all collapsing back on itself.
Tesla passed away impoverished in a seedy New York hotel room. After he died, the U.S. government confiscated his possessions. His notes were held by the Office of Alien Papers and eventually shipped to Yugoslavia. Or were they? Did the government really return all of Tesla's notes? Or did these notes contain something they don't want you to know?
Today, we have with us an engineer who typifies that American capability of converting great ideas into operating mechanisms that can then be turned over, as it were, to the man in the street for safe and proper use and applications. Only Professor John Trump, who is with us today, did not stop there. Now, when you went to MIT, I believe your original intentions, if they may be so described, was to go into electric power types of applications. Is that right?
That's right. I had become interested in the design of electric power machinery. And he has some wild ideas, but I've checked a few of them and they stood up. For 6 weeks I decided they were plausible and reasonable, and I abandoned the design of electric machinery and began studying the insulation of high voltages in vacuum and the acceleration of heavy particles to high energies.
My uncle explained that to me many, many years ago, the power, and that was 35 years ago. He would explain the power of what's going to happen, and he was right.